The devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Deep from the bowels of the Macabre Theater Laboratory, we bring you Macabre Cast. There is nothing wrong with your streaming service. You are exactly where you should be, where the slush puppy machine is always on and cold. Your favorite horror mag is on the rack, discreetly displayed between Women's Wear Daily and Cosmopolitan. I'm your host, Dark Mark, along with my mold-riddled counterpart, Karis, the Little Mummy, here to bring you the latest episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't. Yeah! This is a safe space for those who grew up building their snow forts with K-Tel snow block makers. Newbies welcome, regulars welcome back, and worsifers, get out of here. If you haven't already, click that subscribe or follow button on Spotify, YouTube, or TikTok. Tell a friend to do the same. Even that guy who, when temperatures drop below freezing, feels compelled to say, "Cold enough for ya?" Yeah, that guy. If you wish to correspond with fellow Monster Kids or the Drac Pack Elite, follow the Facebook page, Macabre Theater. It's there where you can send me a voice message and be part of the show. A link can be found in the description of this episode. Macabre Cast, episode 145, and all of its glory begins now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Adoro il cast macabro.
The Shining, Poltergeist, The Conjuring, Hereditary, Insidious, The Changling, or the film which we do not discuss here, The Other. Shortina from Chicago knows why I don't talk about that film. But these are just some of the movies about hauntings and things that go bump in the night.
I noticed you snuck Hereditary in there. Poor scary Larry. He just can't get away from it.
Or in some cases, Heretic, right, Karis?
Hey, I know what I heard. You know, Doc, I'll never forget the last words my grandfather said to me before he died.
Oh, that's sad, Karis. What were your grandfather's last words?
Are you still holding the ladder?
And on that note, it's time for horror news. As previously mentioned, A24 officially won the bidding war for the franchise rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they will be releasing a TV series. Producer Glenn Powell says they are planning something really special. I guess he's a big fan of the film. It's his favorite horror film of all time and has mad respect for it and would never try to recreate the magic that was already done, but promise it will be true to form. Mike Flanagan's vision of Stephen King's Carrie will air its TV debut in October. The 4K and Blu-ray release of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, releases April 21st, 2026. Also releasing in April is Hearts of Darkness, the 2-disc Blu-ray documentary on Jason Goes to Hell. Just take my money. You know, despite what people think, because a lot of people think this is the worst Friday film, but I beg to differ. Mike Flanagan is set to direct a new adaptation of Stephen King's The Mist. We love you, Mike, but why? And Phantasm star Reggie Bannister needs your help to support his hospice care. Quite a bit of money has been raised through this GoFundMe. The remaining money to make the goal is roughly $9,000. at the time of this recording. A link to the GoFundMe site can be found on the Macabre Theater Facebook page. And that's it for horror news. And Draven agrees. Draven the blood-vomiting bat. Children of the night, what messes they make. So I ventured out with Laura Horror and Jack-O-Lantern to the Showcase Cinema. Imagine that, Karis.
Oh, boy. Big doings in that house.
And we did not see a horror film, although it was directed by Evil Dead creator and director Sam Raimi. It starred Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien, and this was the new film Send Help that Metal Melody didn't really care for. I really enjoyed. I mean, again, this is not a horror movie. More like a adventure action, some comedy. But basically, the gist is Rachel McAdams works for Dylan O'Brien, and he's just a big corporate turd boss. And due to circumstances, they get stranded on an island, and all corporate lifestyle is out the window. He no longer is a boss. And I had a lot of fun with this movie. I really enjoyed it. And if you've ever worked in the corporate world, which I have years and years ago, not at that level, by any sake of the means, I was a clerk, but most people can relate to what it's like to be a peon. And I just had a lot of fun with this movie. It was great, definitely worth a watch. I don't really know what Metal Melody didn't like about it, but I really enjoyed it. That's Send Help. Sam Raimi, director, and Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien.
Horror chap Matt knows all about monsters. He said they were coming to get me tonight.
Hey, Doc Mark, Little Karis, and all the Monster Kids hang out at the theater this week. It's Horror Chat Matt back again. So, Doc, I have a couple of quick little movie reviews for you. I took in 3 movies over the past week. First up, I have The Housemaid, more of a thriller. I would say this thing was watchable. Not usually my type of movie, but my wife wanted to watch it. And I would say it was a much more classier Lifetime type of movie. Not the worst movie I've ever seen, certainly not the best. I'm going to give this one 6.5 out of 10. Definitely watchable. Up next, speaking of watchable, I'm not sure what you want to call it, reimagining, sequel, reboot, whatever it is. They even kind of make fun of it in the movie. And that is Paul Rudd and Jack Black's new movie, Anaconda. Again, this one was about a 6.5 out of 10. I will admit, there were a couple of times where I did laugh out loud, but overall, nothing great. But if it's on, you got nothing else to do. The runtime was perfect, about an hour and a half. It's worth a watch. And last but not least is Primate. I'm also going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. Wasn't great, wasn't bad, definitely watchable. Some of the kills were pretty good, but it got a little repetitive. And yeah, again, perfect runtime, exactly 90 minutes. And same thing with Anaconda. If you got nothing else to do and you want to waste 90 minutes, it's worth a watch. That's all I got for you this week, Dark. As always, make mine Macabrecast.
So, Horror Chat, is Housemaid a horror film, or is that just your typical, average, everyday Lifetime movie? Because I didn't get the impression it's a horror film. Which is fine, because I just talked about Send Help, and that's not a horror film.
How do we know that Housemaid wasn't really Horror Chat's choice? How do we know that Horror Chat didn't pick Housemaid to watch, and he's putting it on his beloved wife?
I don't know, Karis. Obviously, we have to take Horror Chat at his word. Anaconda, I have just absolutely No interest. I didn't even like it when that movie was done seriously. Primate? Yeah. No interest in a killer chimp movie. Just none. The problem with watching something when you have nothing else to do and nothing else to watch and just have it on, I never do that, because in our house of turns, when it's your turn, it's a turn you don't want to waste in any way, shape, or form. And I very rarely find myself doing something else where I can put the TV on, or if that's even a thing, it's usually Dateline or Forensic Files. So great to hear from you, Horror Chat Matt. We hope to hear from you again next week. Ghost Crazy, also known as Crazy Nights, from 1944, directed by William Bodine, starring Billy Gilbert, Shemp Howard, and Maxie Rosenbloom. Billy Gilbert, known for his many appearances in the Laurel and Hardy shorts of the 30s and 40s, and Shemp Howard, who was before Curly with the Three Stooges in vaudeville and returned after Curly left in the movies. They team up with Bernard Sell as carnival workers headed on vacation from exhibiting a gorilla in a traveling show. They stop for a night in what appears to be a haunted house. Look, if you're looking for some deep-rooted plot, stop and go elsewhere. There isn't one. This movie is just plain fun. Gilbert and Howard's comedic timing is impeccable. I'm a pushover for these old-timey comedies because they're mindless and fun, and we need that sometimes. I mention gateway films to horror all the time. If you have real little ones, this is for them, and may they become lifelong horror fans afterward. A killer on the loose, ghosts, and a gorilla who's escaped his cage. Not the funniest film of the 40s by a long shot, but a lot of fun when Halloween rolls around again. 2.5 stars out of 5.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Greetings, Dark Mark and Karis the Little Mummy. Scary Larry here, so let's get into this. Hey, Karis, what did the fish say when he hit the wall? Damn. So this week's topic, things that go bump in the night. Some of my favorites. Let's go over them. Poltergeist, the original, not the remake. A favorite, Ghost Story. A bit dark, but a good movie, The Entity. Some others, The Changling, The Fog, or again, original. The original Conjuring, meaning the first one. Drag Me to Hell, Insidious, Room 1408, going way back, High Plains Drifter, and a made-for-TV movie that doesn't get enough love, Don't Go to Sleep, starring Dennis Weaver, Valerie Harper, and Ruth Gordon. So, in my quest to be ready for Scream 7, only because a friend wants to see it, I am catching up. This week I watched Scream 4. Good all the way up to the reveal. In my opinion, they're running out of reasons for killers to end up in Sydney's life. So I'm hoping 5 and 6 have better killer reveals. That says it all about this movie.
Poltergeist. You know, I'm going to tell you, I actually like Poltergeist 2 better because I like the Reverend Kane. I think he's absolutely creepy. And I really enjoyed Poltergeist 2 better. Ghost Story was definitely an adult spook show because I saw that when I was a kid, but I appreciated it more when I was an adult. It was a little too over my head as a kid. The Entity, yeah, ghost rape. One and done with that one. I don't think I ever saw it a second time. Based on a true story. Yikes. The Changeling, one of my favorites, and you can hear my review coming up in this episode. The Fog, an absolute Carpenter classic, hands down. Conjuring, I liked it, but with this franchise, like the Poltergeist franchise, I prefer the sequel, Conjuring 2. I really enjoyed that. Drag Me to Hell, Sam Raimi's return to horror after Spider-Man Romp. Although I still prefer the Evil Dead trilogy. I do like Drag Me to Hell, but it was not Evil Dead. Insidious was a good film, but for some reason I can never recall anything about it. Brain fog with that one. 1408 I love. It's like The Shining, only all set in one room. Now that story was never in print. It was released in audiobook form, and I have it. And let me tell you something, the majority of that film is not Stephen King. But the script writers, Matt Greenberg, Scott Alexander, and there's a third guy who escapes me right now, because King's treatment is very vague. So most of that great stuff in the film should be credited to those guys. High Plains Drifter, a favorite ghostly western with none other than Clint Eastwood. And the made-for-TV film Don't Go to Sleep, I am very unfamiliar with. I don't even think I've ever heard of it, and I'm big with made-for-TV horror, so I'll have to track that down. Scary. And Scream 7, I'm really surprised you've never seen these other Scream films. But yeah, probably a good idea to get all caught up before Scream 7, obviously. I really enjoyed 5 and 6. It's a departure, sort of, from the norm. But the way it was changed up, I actually like. I like 5 and 6, and I'm looking forward to part 7. I've seen ads, and I'm definitely curious. And it's also a return of Kevin Williamson, the writer for part 7. So, gonna see if he can kind of brighten this franchise up. Great hearing from you as always, Scary Larry, and thank you for seeing it so we don't have to.
And now it's time for Real World Horror. And now here's your host, Dark Mark.
In 1977, two odious turds, Cameron and Janice Hooker, from Red Bluff, California, kidnapped and held Colleen Stan for sexual enslavement. This became poor Colleen's life for approximately 7 years. In May of 1977, Colleen had been hitchhiking from her home in Eugene, Oregon to a friend's house in Westwood, California for a birthday party. Somewhere along Interstate 5, she was picked up by Cameron Hooker. Ironically, Colleen prided herself as an expert hitchhiker and had declined 2 rides before Cameron. She felt confident getting into Cameron's blue van because his wife Janice and their baby were in the car. At some point during the ride, a knife was placed at Colleen's throat, and a locked wooden box was placed over her head, designed to prevent light, sound, or even fresh air from entering. She was tortured and kept locked in a box for 23 hours a day until she was given a contract she was forced to sign, agreeing to slavery for life. Propped up against her purse under the maniacal couple's bed, where she was kept, was a photo of Elizabeth Spanag, a previous victim whose body to this day has never been found. They fed Colleen stories that she was under surveillance by a large, powerful organization called The Company, who would harm her family if she ever tried to escape. Colleen never lost faith in God and believed one day she would escape. She complied to Cameron's demands, and this eventually led to being allowed to jog in the yard and care for the family's children and help him build bigger accommodations, including an underground dungeon for more slaves. Strangely, Colleen was allowed at one point to visit her family in 1981, but never revealed the horrible ordeal she was going through. She feared this imaginary company and the repercussions of talking. Her family believed she had become involved with a cult. After a second visit in which Cameron attended with her, he had felt Colleen had been given too much freedom and put Colleen under lock and key within the wooden box for 23 hours a day again. Wife Janice, who claimed she had also been tortured and brainwashed and survived by engaging in denial, began talking to Colleen more and more, telling her that although the company did exist, Cameron was not part of it. Colleen managed to get herself to a bus station when her freedom started coming around again. She got herself home, but did not report them to police. She had promised wife Janice to give Cameron a chance to reform. Eventually, it was wife Janice who reported sadistic husband to the police. Janice testified against her husband for full immunity. Cameron was sentenced to 105 years in prison. He'd been denied parole once and will be up for it again in 2030. A trial, however, was set for this past January of 2026 to determine if Cameron Hooker is a sexual violent predator. As of this recording, I can find no verdict in that trial. Let me help that jury out. Yes, he is.
Tune in next time to Real World Horror with Mark.
The Changling, 1980, directed by Peter Madik, starring George C. Scott, Trish Van Deverne, and Melvin Douglas. George C. Scott delivers a phenomenal performance as John Russell, a composer on vacation with his family. A devastating automobile accident alters his life forever. Consumed with grief, his friends suggest he rents a ginormous turn-of-the-century house with more room than he could ever need to reflect and compose music. But unbeknownst to John, the ghostly spirit of a child and manipulates him into an earth of his anguish. Director Martin Scorsese has this film in his top 10 scariest of all time. I will say at times this movie subtly can be quite unnerving. During production, George C. Scott had been playing a chess game against himself when the board had accidentally been knocked over based on an actual haunting that took place at the Henry Treat Rogers Mansion in Denver, Colorado during the 1960s. Next to Burnt Offerings, this has always been one of my favorite haunted house films. I give The Changeling 4 out of 5 stars.
Go check it out!
The following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Metal Melody.
Hello, Doc Mark, Karis the Little Mummy, and all the Macabre cast fans listening. What was that? It's Metal Melody. And I am checking in, I guess. So first, I want to say regarding episode 144, is that I thought it was freaking hilarious, Mark, when you were talking about going back in time and how our chat Matt wouldn't want the front row and, you know, you'd leave him and tell him to make sure he gets a big popcorn. I was dying because I would do the same thing with a friend. If they ever did that to me, I'd be like, bye, see you in like an hour 45. But horror chat Matt calling the number for the movie theater made me laugh because oh my gosh, we all did that back in the day. And you someone would talk to you, your mother or somebody, and then like you'd miss some of it and you'd have to hang up and call back again and you'd be so pissed off. And yes, usually it never had the movie you wanted to see. Just awful. Like I miss those days sometimes, but then other times I'm so glad that they're gone and we are where we are today. As far as it's not technology, but maybe modern device, I don't know. When you guys were talking about how you could go online and pick your seats, and yeah, that's all fantastic. Like, it would have been nice if we had that back in the 80s, but I do love that we have reclining seats now, and they're not those stiff, straight ones we had years ago. And as far as chunkies, you can recline, eat food. Some of them in certain movie theaters have heat and air. Like it's. I love it. But I wanted to say, Scary Larry was talking about that movie, Scared Shitless. I have a better one, and it's called Handjob Cabin. I never watched it, but when I'm scrolling on movies, it comes up sometimes, and I laugh. Or sometimes I'm with my sister. If it's a Friday night, we're looking for movies. We both see it, and we friggin' laugh. And we're like, I wonder what that's about, but we never bother, watching it. Apparently, it's a comedy horror film.
Ew, seriously? That is so gross.
I looked it up to see, and it's about 4 friends on a weekend getaway, and they're terrorized by an ominous, sexually frustrated presence. And I just gotta laugh. I'm like, that's gotta be, crazy, but I don't know. Maybe one day I'll watch it just for giggles. I have not seen that many movies this week. There's been nothing at the movie theater until Scream, which is coming out soon. I can't wait to see that. So I don't have much to report on movies. I do want to say, however, I did watch a movie called Super Deep. And, it's a Russian research team that go below the Earth's surface, and they discover something that threatens humanity. It's a slow burn. I thought it was a really good story, though, and I'm surprised I liked it, because I'm not huge into slow burns, as Mark's always teasing me. But I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. It does involve like a grotesque monster evil kind of thing, like is what they end up finding, and possibly maybe they found hell down there. I don't know. I wasn't sure like about the whole ending thing and how to perceive it. I almost forgot the topic of the week about movies, scary movies, or things that go bump in the night, or movies we would recommend. A few off the top of my head, I would definitely say Night of the Reaper, Clown in the Cornfield, Talk to Me, Tarot, Terrifier, anyone. Of course, Terrifier 3 was the most recent one. In Ouija. That's just a few. I could go on and on with the million, but those are a couple of ones I could think off the top of my head. That is all I have, at least until I talk again on episode 146. And I hope everybody has a fantastic week. I know everybody is sick of the snow, and hopefully we won't get much more of that, although we do have still a month and a half of winter, so you never know. But everybody, take care. Bye-bye.
So, Metal Melody, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room, shall we? You weren't even able to introduce yourself without getting foghorned. And you know what they say about a girl with a potty mouth? They say, there's a girl with a potty mouth. And Handjob Cabin? Super Deep? What's the name of this streaming service you're watching? Spice?
It is funny that Horror Chat brought up the old phone lines to see what was playing at the theater. And they wouldn't even reset. Every time you called those things, they would start right in the middle, like right after the movie you were waiting to hear about, and you'd have to listen to the whole thing again. And I don't know, I got to agree with Karis. Super Deep and Handjob Cabin. I think you are watching a different streaming service. Nice picks, though, for the things that go bump in the night. We look forward to hearing from you again and maybe some reviews on those super spicy movies next time. Thank you, Metal Melody.
Don't touch that dial, monster kids.
Yeah, you don't know where it's been.
Pipe down. It's almost time for the final thought.
Not quite, bro. Not before. Cobwebbed classics.
Ooh, yeah. Cobwebbed classics.
Cobwebbed classics.
Welcome to Cobwebbed Classics, where I dust off a lost, forgotten, or just plain unappreciated film and introduce it to, or maybe just remind you about it, so your spooky Saturday night might run a little creepier. This week's Cobwebbed Classic is 1941's Hold That Ghost, directed by Arthur Lubin, starring Bud Abbott and Lou Costello and Richard Carlson. When two goofball service station attendants are the only beneficiaries to a gangster's will, what do they inherit? Well, a spooky old inn. Somewhere in that place is the dead gangster's money. As the night comes down, very strange things begin to happen. Costello keeps us laughing as he encounters dead bodies, ghosts, and moving candles. Look for Shemp Howard as the soda jerk, and a great surprise performance by the Andrews sisters, who, by the way, were an afterthought. As they were brought in after filming Wrapped, they were just edited into the final nightclub scene. This would make a great double feature with the Laurel and Hardy murder case from 1930. 1941's Hold That Ghost is this week's
Cobwebbed classics.
Goditi questo episodio de Cost Macabre.
Thank you, Maria Monstalia, for telling our Italian friends to enjoy this episode of Macabrecast. Do the dead visit us in our dreams? When the deceased appear to us in our dreams, especially a loved one, it can be so intense. Although experts, and I use that term loosely, believe that this is nothing more than part of the grieving process. But the truth is, they don't know any more than we do. They're guesstimating, and they're trying to base it in rationale. But what is rationale on the other side? If you even believe there is another side. I would like to believe dreams of the dead are the deceased's last efforts of reassurance or guidance, or maybe a final goodbye, especially if they were unable to do so in the end. Sweet dreams, monster kids. Beware the moon. Keep clear of the moors. But most of all, remember, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon, I hope.
This is a Macabre Theater production.
Subscribe us.